So I'm here at Dine College and I'm ready to hear our star of the hour. I'm very excited about this. She does a lot of important work, and this is a small glimpse, and I'm sure all of you who have been in her office will recognize these pieces. Without further delay.
I feel like I made a mistake by not coming to school here, because it's based on our philosophy, the Dine philosophy of life, and then at the same time the foundation again of the college, and what that represents is just, you're not gonna find that anywhere. We have the quiver, we have arrows, we have a bow. Actually, the bow is up there above the doorway, which is a representation of protection, or and so we have an old pair of men's moccasins here. And and that's one of the things that I think is really important for this younger generation to understand is, we're still here. We still have a language, we still have songs, we still have prayers. And that's one of the things, we were a strong people before Fort Sumner happened. Yeah, yate she Nonabah dashijine bitani nishle ado bilagana bashichin neat nahabani dashiche do oflikijikis ani dina dashinale. Hi everyone, my name is Nonabah Sam. I'm the museum curator here at Dine College. I am folded arms people born for German and Dutch descent. My grandfathers are the Gray Streak Face people clan, and my paternal grandfathers are from Tsaile Pueblo, and they're from the Winter clan.
All right. This is your office.
Yep, this is my office.
Nice. And
that was one of my students who gave me that painting last spring.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He is very familiar with us and the story behind Manuelito and how he settled in Coyote Canyon after the long walk. So I have a lot of pictures in here on my wall, especially I have a picture of my great grandma there. And then, of course, Miss Navajo, one of the former Miss Navajos, and the big piece there is a piece that my dad did, which is an homage to R.C. Gorman, the late R.C. Gorman. It was a piece that my dad did after R.C. Gorman passed. And so you see a lot of signatures on there. And those are a lot of the artists who, I think it was during Indian Market, if I remember correctly, that my dad put this painting out for everyone to sign in gold, with a gold pin. And so that's one of my favorite pieces that I have of my dad. So it stays here in my office.
Oh, okay. So this is the exclusive sneak peek to everybody who's heard of it, who signed it.
Yeah.
And the home of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Nice. So how long have you been with Dine College?
I've been here for it'll be 12 years in January.
January, okay.
Yeah.
And are you originally from Tsaile?
No, actually I'm from the other side of the mountain.
Okay.
I spent a lot of my life growing up, especially the younger part of my life, growing up in Tohatchi.
Okay.
So went to school at Tohatchi. My grandmother worked for the BIA, so she worked up at the boarding school at Chiska. My grandpa is a retired veteran. So after my grandmother retired, we moved back down to Coyote Canyon and spent my high school years living there, also living in Santa Fe for a little while. I attended the Indian school. Santa Fe Indian School for a little bit. Spent a little bit of time with my biological mom. It's, not a story I tell too often, but as a baby, my mom abandoned me and my sister. And so I grew up with my grandparents and mostly with my aunties and my uncles. So growing up was always a lot of fun, and then at the same time, just that impression that education was important was really impressed on us, especially me and my little sister growing up. So, coming back to Navajo after, several years of being away, going to school, getting an education, I came back in 2008, and then I came here in 2012. So nice. The beginning of 2012 is when I came back to the museum feel. Yeah. I always felt like this was something I always wanted to do. And then at the same time, I always felt like it was just something that I knew I was probably going to end up doing for the rest of my life. When I came here in 2012, the museum didn't look like this. It was in really, I want to say it was in really bad shape.
Was it just neglect or?
They didn't have a director for a few years, was my understanding.
Okay. All right.
And so because of that, in a sense, it was kind of a neglected space. There was also a huge opening that this building had that came down the center of the building, and it was an open space. So you could literally look up and go all the way to the top. But that was infested with mold.
Oh, okay, because of moisture and everything.
Because of the moisture and everything over the years. And mind you, Dine College is, about 55, almost 56 years old now. Yeah. And so because of that infestation of mold, we literally had to move out within a number of days. Yep. And so they sealed off the center. We relocated the collection down at the archive building. My, like I said, having been involved with the museum field since I was a junior in high school, I was it was the only program I could find in the United States at the time had a museum studies program that was focused on Native collections. And so the professor there, Chuck Daly, Nancy Mithlow, Barbara Sands, Lucero, several other people who were in the museum program there, really kind of helped me not only better understand collections from an Indigenous perspective, but also really made it an important point to say that it's okay to work in collections as a Native woman. If you know the history of the museum field, it was predominantly white males from a lot of these, bigger universities that are out there. Yeah. So when
and then looking at it from their own eyes and perspective, and not born into it, and not boots on the ground, living it as well too.
Yeah. So as a junior in high school, I had heard about the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act, or NAGPRA for short. And it was then that I really kind of felt like, wow, this is probably something, I could do. Yeah. And started looking at programs that focused on museum studies, or my other option was to even possibly go and work for the FBI and work in collections. That kind of stuff. So it was a coin toss really, but I really found my niche in working with collections. So
supposed to be multi-language. You could be linguistics in FBI too.
Right. That's true too. That's true too.
Your options are endless.
This is the golden era. They still are.
For all linguists, that's why you got to learn your language.
Yes,
you can work
exactly.
at FBI, created our world from the inside out.
And there you go. So coming back to Dine College in 2012, and then with the whole idea of the mole infestation and everything happening, again, going back and using my degree, I was able to put together a scale model of exactly what I wanted to see this floor look like.
Oh.
So I got to redesign the floor, and I really felt like we needed a special space for items that are in our permanent collection.
Cool. And these are all permanent in
These
here?
are all permanent, part of the permanent collection that belongs to Dine College. And so the philosophy of the college really is built on Ntsahakes Nahata'ina Sihasendo Sa'anagaibik Ahojon. And so with that, it was really important that I included the foundation of the college within this particular space. And then at the same time, it's also designed, if you can tell, there's male objects all on one side, and then there's female objects all on the other side. Mm-hmm. And usually in a traditional home, that's kind of how it's set up. The men have their stuff on one side, and then the women on the other side.
Then we have our opening towards the east over
And then
here.
we have our opening towards the east. What's really unique about this opening, and what I really enjoy about it, is during the summer solstice and the winter solstice, you'll see when the sunlight comes right down the middle here. So it's really, really unique. And the way that this campus was put together, it's something significant. All the buildings are specially placed where they are when you listen to the creation story of how Dine College came together.
So who designed this building?
Actually,
when was this building built?
This building was built, if I remember correctly, in the 1970s. Oh. So when the college first opened, it first opened in 1968, and it opened in mini farms. So it opened there.
Was it always Dine College?
No, it used to be Navajo Community College.
Yeah, NCC.
Yeah, NCC. A lot of people who were before my time, of course, will tell you that it was Navajo Community College first.
Yep, it was always NCC. What are you doing after high school? NCC?
Yeah.
Where are you going? I'm going to go to NCC. Yeah.
Sometimes when I think back and when you're young, I think you're excited to leave. You're excited to go off and go to school, and you don't think about what's in your own backyard.
Yep, exactly.
And so,
Could not agree more with that.
Yeah. So coming back here, it was really interesting when I would come to work and then I would go home on weekends. And a lot of time I would go home and I would cry to my grandma, and I would just tell her, I feel like I made a mistake by not coming to school here, because it's based on our philosophy, the Dine philosophy of life, and then at the same time the foundation again of the college, and what that represents is just, you're not going to find that anywhere else.
No, and I could not agree more with you on that, and I feel the same way. I mean, diving into our history and our culture, there's a lot of it where it's like missed opportunities.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's why we're sharing this. That's why we're sharing with other future generations.
Right.
To learn from us and be like, it's in your backyard.
Yeah.
All your teaching throughout life is here.
Being here at home and being able to experience a lot of the things that I've experienced since coming home has always been like just the greatest feeling ever. It's one of those things, like I said, when you're growing up, you're so conscious of everything else happening around you, especially like now with social media. You see all these really beautiful, wonderful places around the world, and and it's always like, I want to go there, I want to check that out, and I know that I'll be able to do that down the road, but coming home is it's definitely, it hits different now. And I think that that's one of the things that I always tell people with this job, particularly, you know, being a museum curator, I could choose to do this job anywhere in the world, literally.
Mm-hmm.
But the impact of my work is greater here at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think about the things that my grandma and my grandpa would tell me growing up. And because I was raised in a traditional household, it was always that thought of hajo'ina, you know, that idea of a good life and what that meant, you know, in terms of getting an education, securing a good job, and being able to, you know, move forward in life in terms of finances. But also because of Hanet, because of our stories, our songs, our prayers, and because of the philosophy that the college is built on, I really feel like that resonates within me a little bit more, because just like the gentleman that you were talking about, the farmer, it's right here for us. You know, and sometimes when I think about it, especially when I'm traveling to school, and, you know, as I'm driving down the road, I'm praying and I'm, you know, thinking about what's to come later on. I always, in my prayers, remember that, you know, Yode Ado it's just up to us to pick up those blessings as we go through life, because it's already on our path for us. And I think that that's one of the things, being, like I said, being here at home and doing this work here, you know, it resonates differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, before my grandma passed, you know, I had the opportunity to sit down with her as we would travel, as we would, you know, go places by ourselves every now and then. And I would always remember, you know, to tell my grandma, you know, thank you. Thank you for giving me the life that you've given me, because of her and because of her teachings. You know, you know, what she has taught me has now become what I'm teaching, and how I reiterate that to my students that come in and put on really beautiful shows at the end of the semester. And, you know, what they walk away with, and, you know, what people walk away with when they leave our museum is the idea of Navajos are still here. They still have a lifestyle of their own. You know, we're not like everybody else. We don't all live in teepees. We don't all, you know, have the same traditions across the board, because I think sometimes people think that that's how we live our life. Oh. You know, but for this particular space to be built the way that it was built, it gives you that idea and that essence of the men have their roles, and then the women have their roles as well. And then it comes back down to that duality of male and female, and that balance that we walk in as we go through life. And, you know, when people come and they visit, we talk about duality. We talk about both the roles of men and women, and, you know, what some of the different things are. Historically, we have, you know, a lot of the men's
Can we talk about that
stuff. Yeah. We have the quiver. We have arrows. We have a bow. Actually, the bow is up there above the doorway, which is a representation of protection. And so, again, that's the and it's that balance that we walk with in life as as human beings, as five-fingered people, or the Nebula Ashklai. And so we have an old pair of men's moccasins here. What I love about this pair of moccasins is they're dyed on the outside. There's another pair we'll look at in a little bit, but this men's pair is dyed on the outside, and on the inside it's still white. So this, you know, when I first came in and I was looking through our collection, this told me that there was a time where our shoes used to be all white, and then they would cover them with a red dye. Not sure exactly what kind of dye they used, but you can see that it's faded over the years. And then, of course, we have a set of men's leggings that is used to protect their shins and their calves. And then we have a Tahnaizi men's purse and a bow guard. And then this one is Nsaha case. This is thinking, what we're, every day we're thinking. We think about what's going to take place and where things are going to go, how things are going to happen for us. And this particular piece is a bridle that is made out of horsehair. It's braided horsehair. You don't see these maybe very, very rarely do you see anything like this anymore, especially practiced by artists. So the photographs that you see in this particular space are from Fort Sumner. And this is when Huelte happened for our people and when we were forced down to Fort Sumner. That's one of the gentlemen who was there. And if you look really closely, what's interesting about a lot of these photographs that were taken at Fort Sumner, they were very staged photographs. So you'll see a lot of times, you'll see the same blankets, you'll see the same props, you'll see the same.
They just want to say, the conditions are good here, but they're just kind of swapping out our people for these photographs.
They're swapping out the people.
It's voyeurism, and it's more animalistic view than...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was not made very apparent at the time was a lot of these photographs were used to sell Navajos as slaves. And so a lot of times it's something, when we talk about Huelte, a lot of people don't realize that there's a reason why we don't talk about that time, and because of the way things were happening as well. And and that's one of the things that I think is really important for this younger generation to understand is, we're still here. We still have a language. We still have songs. We still have prayers. We still have things that can remind us of what our people once were. And that's one of the things, we were a strong people before Fort Sumner happened. And this is really, what's really cool about this particular photo is the hat here, and you're going to see one here in a little bit in the case that is an original hat. But, that's one of the things that I always tell our students is, we're still here.
Yep, we're not going away either.
We're not going to go away, and that's why my job is important. As a preservationist, as a conservationist, it comes back down to, how we take care of our items here. And this is an original war cap that's in our collection.
Wow.
It's very, very old.
Yeah, I love the design.
And you can see just by the wear and tear of the cap, and then also the way that the feathers are worn on the side there. It's one of the old pieces. Yeah, this is Nahat'a. This is the planning. So every day that we're thinking, we're also planning. And so that, as we go through life, it's a big plan when you think about it.
Despite us, we don't plan ahead, right?
We say we don't plan ahead, but it's actually already in there.
Well, I think us as mortal beings, we plan. It doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
But because our holy people have already set up a path for us.
Yeah.
That we just sometimes be too stubborn to follow.
Yeah.
We see all the signs, we hear all the signs, but we ignore it. And with social media involved now, we're more distracted more than ever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and then you have a sash belt here, which a lot of us as women still use, still wear. You know, the significance about the sash belt is this is, you know, they would use this for the women to, during pregnancy and then during birth, they would help them. And a lot of our information now, you know, it's out there and people use it. The other side of that is they do not understand the context of it. So we have the tools in the office just because we don't want them to walk off, but we make sure that that our students get to experience stuff here in the museum as well. So.